Welcome to Wake Up Woodward. It is a double victory Monday. Obviously, big bank take little bank. Detroit Lions absolutely opened up a can of Bobby Boucher whoop A on the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was as loony a final score as all of the chat have predicted, man. It's your boy, Brandon Dent, Detroit Kool-Aid, your credentialed Pistons reporter and writer. Yeah, a little extra emphasis on the Pistons. And Flannel Sam, the vet of the squad, the vet of the network. Hey, man, all sports knower and Red Wings correspondent. The Pistons, too, man. 124-104 victory. They're 7-8. They are moved out of the play-in positioning into just playoff positioning.
Yes.
Wow, 20% of the season, and they can actually get to 500 tonight.
You absolutely love to see it. And a couple of disclaimers before we start the show. I know that Alex Anzalone broke his arm. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. We're going to just have a fun style show today. We'll talk about Anzo tomorrow, and we are going to get into the Pistons just briefly in the first segment. If some of you can just hold out for like 15 minutes, I promise we will dive deep into the Lions. But the Pistons have earned it, man. They're 7-8, 15 games into the season.
One of the best defensive teams in all of the NBA. JB Bickerstaff has this team playing at a level, motor-wise, that just never turns off. They have a lot that they still have to clean up. And if they do, then some of the conversation we were probably having before the show, KG, then they have an opportunity to make sure they're taking full advantage of each and every one of these years that you have Cade Cunningham under contract. As Pistons fans, sometimes I'm like, yay, compare Cade Cunningham to Grant Hill, and then other times it's like, whoa, don't compare him, because we understand where that went, because they did not surround him with the right amount of talent. And you know what? Some people say that at that time they didn't really take the right approach to his health. We see with the Pistons already. They're like, bro, take a whole year off to get your health right. Here is your bag right now. We promise you we're going to get you some players. We're going to get a competent front office. And so from that aspect, it's like it's good to see Cade Cunningham being able to have this type of success early in the season, not having to, trudge through early, downs, but being able to be right here, 7-8. You're probably going to win your division for the NBA Cup. You have an opportunity tonight. Pack LCA it out. I'm serious. Get down there. Let these guys, let the Pistons hear you, Detroit.
So fast.
Seriously. They're playing their hearts out. They're bringing that grit. When I saw JB Bickerstaff talk about it in the preseason media day, it was just kind of like, okay. But now that you see them, it's like, no. What he's saying is resonating to his players, which is what we often say about the Lions. So well done to the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham with the triple-double, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 5 steals, just 2 turnovers. Jaden Ivey with 28 points, Malik Beasley, 26 points. You got to have the big three. You got to have some people that can put the ball in the basket. That's what you saw last night.
And I'll tell you what, they played like an actual big three last night.
The impetus for Element was just a recognition that my health was impacted by inadequate electrolytes.
In last night's 20-point win over the Washington Wizards, Cade, Ivey, and Beasley combined for 75 points on 54% from the floor, 55% from three, and 100% from the free throw line. I'll tell you what, I know it was the Wizards, but if those three can do that, you'll beat Cleveland. You'll beat damn near any team in the NBA. And what I like, too, is that they're treating the Washington Wizards as whipping boys. The Pistons, who last year were a 14-win team, have a team that they can now treat as whipping boys.
Talk about it.
I love to see it, because we talked about before the year, the Pistons need to be better than certain teams, and the Washington Wizards were at the top of that list. If the Pistons don't have a better record than the Wizards, just cancel the franchise at this point. But you know what? They're 7-8. I believe the Wizards are a 3-win team. The Pistons put a belt to ass last night. And not just that, they took care of business on Friday against the Raptors.
Yeah.
Not a great game in terms of shooting, but they only gave up 95 points. And sometimes you just got to survive in advance. So a couple of really impressive wins by the Pistons in a row to be 7-8, 15 games in, when part of their schedule was considered a gauntlet. Absolute great start to the season from the Pistons.
And you know what? I'm so glad that you talked about the fact that the Pistons are they got the teams that they can whip now. Because in my notes I have Pistons have to continue dogging the teams they're supposed to. With the Wizards game as a prime example. Bottle that game up And whenever you have an off night, go back to that tape and realize what you're supposed to do every single time. Change your own expectations if you're the Detroit Pistons right now. Block out all the outside noise, which is something that JB Bickerstaff, when you have a real coach, they got that way of kind of camping you in, and everybody on the outside can really eat all of the double birds, middle fingers, whatever you want to call it that you can have, man. And that is what JB Bickerstaff did so well, even kind of going into training camp and hearing these players talk. Last year, the players were saying their own things, and you could tell it. They just stepped into the podium, they're saying their own stuff, media day as well as exit interviews. This year, they were stepping to the podium saying the same things, but not as it relates to like restore rhetoric, but as it relates to defense, as it relates to process, as it relates to organization. I was like, wait, are we in a business meeting now? Okay, now we're getting serious. And that's what I see out there on the court. This team is much more connected defensively. The team is understanding better offensive principles, even though they have to get more consistent. But I think that chemistry sometimes comes with time when you got some new players. But I right now, they are giving us opportunity, and I'm going to continue to drum this, to this beat, man. 20% through the season. I'm going to continue to give you guys the percentages. This team is in prime playoff positioning still. It was funny in the beginning of the season when we stated this. But right now, they have moved from playing into, I believe, fifth in the East.
Yeah.
But I got to double check that. So I don't like it. I keep it going. And you know what? They should be even higher.
They should, and they should beat the Bulls tonight. At home, the Bulls are coming off of a 36-point loss at home to the Houston Rockets last night.
Damn.
The Bulls are terrible. They don't know what they want to be. Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic look like they'd rather be anywhere but Chicago. Josh Giddey stinks. Put belt to ass tonight, Pistons. Go ahead.
He do more than stinks, man.
Just one little thing I see here. Rod Nuge, the fourth quarter meltdowns have been impressive. This is a team that's trying to learn to play together.
Yeah.
And winning down the stretch is not something that teams just do. You even hear teams like the 04 Pistons talk about what it meant to learn to play the game the right way. And some of these guys were already some of the better basketball players in the NBA when Larry Brown came here and had to teach them to learn to play the game the right way. So, I do believe that they will get better through these ups and downs to be at this point. That means that there's a whole lot of other teams that have a whole lot more to figure out than the Pistons right now. And so I'm not going to sit here and act like the race is over, but as it relates to being encouraged at the early signs, I am definitely there for it.
Yeah, no, they finally starting to gel as a team, and I thought you brought up chemistry, and I think that's maybe the key word with this team right now. They are actually a team. Like, you just see a marginal difference from last year to this year, and they're doing it with a lot of the same players. So what JB Bickerstaff has done for this Pistons team, I think is like undeniable at this point. The defense looks a lot better. You're getting a lot more from Cade and the boys. And to be honest, we got to talk about the evolution of Jaden Ivey, bro. Jaden Ivey, he is becoming the 1B on this team, and I'm here for it, man. Yeah. Like, we always thought that he had this ability, but, the Monty regime, they kind of stunted his growth. They sat him. He wasn't really efficient last year, and you wonder, like, can we really get to the ceiling that we expect for Jaden Ivey? And this year we are seeing that in bunches, man. If he can continue this level of play and they can continue getting what they're getting from their veteran players, in particular their shooters, oh my God, this team can go places this year. They really can.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm glad you brought up Jaden Ivey because he does deserve as much credit as we can give him. It's a player that I know on this platform a lot of us were bullish on, and some of us had some questions on, and rightfully so. But some of the trends that I had seen towards the end of the season, they made me very, very optimistic about who he could be, because to go through all of the noise that you went through last year and to still say, you know what, I'm still churning underneath the same coach. It ain't like it was like an interim coach. Then I'm just like, you know what, that's a guy that I want on my squad. And the other aspect of Jaden Ivey.
Gift? Like really big this season. Actual size? Actual.
Outside of the media availability at like practices and press conferences, I gotten to speak to him at like charity events. Every single time I talk to him, Detroit is the thing that he's talking about. It's like we step off the court and it's just Detroit. Yeah, my grandma got a shop over there. Yeah, my people's been here in the city for this long. Yeah, my dad was an athlete over here. Yeah, my mom won championships in the city. So it's like to see him have this type of success and want to have it here, this was something where it was like this guy was going to allow whoever to do whatever they wanted because he was going to try and stay in the fire as long as he could to try and have some type of success here in Detroit. So there are so many different narratives, and I am happy to see him have this success, as well as the other narrative, he and Cade Cunningham as a backcourt. Man, you talk about backcourts in the East, backcourts in the NBA. By All-Star break, by the end of the season, we talked about it. Are we going to have these guys both in the top 100 in the NBA next year? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I don't even think that's a question at this point. And now with Jaden Ivey in combination with him wanting to be here, he now has a great basketball situation, and he is having himself a heck of a year. Prove some of the people like myself wrong. Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, they can fit, and they will succeed together, starting with this season. They already have, at least 15 games in.
Oh, yeah, Kool-Aid, they are 5th in the East, by the way.
Well, oh yeah, 5th in the East, right? Yeah, hey, because I just wanted to double check. I knew I saw it last night. I didn't know if there were other games that played out or anything, but thank you for that.
They 5th.
Chase, hey, I like your hat, man. Look, we got the different variants on. I like it.
Yeah. What up, though? Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are having a good day. I want to say shout out to James from the chat. Him and his dad were actually the first people in the door at Second Best yesterday. They were there at the pregame show, met him and his father. So I want to say shout out to them. They were actually the people who provided us with that really cool video from inside the tunnel that we saw like opening the show. So I just want to say special shout out to them and appreciate meeting you guys yesterday. Hope you guys are enjoying the show and enjoyed the game as well. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love this family. You know what? I was going through videos the other day from opening day. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then going back to the Red Wings game, we had boots on the ground, seeing Detroit Dabber, our dude Rake, Chase Hamley, Freddie Felt at the draft day. It was so many different people. Freddie. And it's awesome that this platform can be one where we can come together, not just over our sports teams, because they were bad. A lot of them were bad when Woodward Sports started. But because we just mess with each other like that. It's Detroit, man. It's one big family. I love it. And to have our teams all trending like this right now, golly, it just makes it that much better. And I know we got a whole show where we're setting up the Krispy Kreme factory to glaze the Detroit Lions, but we had to make sure that we paid the Detroit Pistons some attention.
Of course, the Pistons deserve a little glaze at the beginning, but the Lions, as we know, deserve they deserve more than even this network can give in terms of glazing, but we will do our best. So when we come back, it's going to be all Lions the rest of the damn show. But first, tell us about Second Best, Kool-Aid.
Hey, I will tell you about Second Best. You know why? Because for every single Detroit Lions home game, it's where the best pregame party is. Right in the middle of downtown Detroit, right in the middle of the action, right amongst the people. 42 Watson Street, mark that down because it's where the ultimate fan experience is. Second Best bar in downtown Detroit. You can also enjoy some smooth 2 more Do Irish whiskey while catching the Woodward Sports pregame show only at Second Best Bar. Come get some.
Walk into any Lady Jane's haircut